Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I'm your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in living color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. And tonight we are joined by a very special guest, a man that I've been talking movies with over the past few months. And man, it is a pleasure to have you on tonight. He is the one, the only. He is Billy Henry. What's going on, good brother?
I'm good. How are you, man? I'm excited.
Dude. Yeah. I'm pleased to have you on the graveyard. Me and Billy, we go back all the way to high school. I remember the first time I actually talked to you, we were on that movie field trip, and we went. It was like the Museum of the Moving Image or whatever. And I remember
They had Nightmare on Elm Street chest.
Yes, the Elm Street chest from part 4, and I was like, yo, that's sick. And then you were right behind me like, yo, that's fucking insane. And then we started talking about the Never Sleep Again documentary, and then we kind of bonded over our love for movies. We got a bunch of people in the Heezy. Arthur Bremer's over here saying, why do I gotta be Mr. Pink? Vabber's in the Heezy. What's going on, good brother? Neon Black Reviews. What's up, my friend? And the Soulless Trench Coat. Oh, yeah, we got a full house here tonight on the graveyard. And, man, I always do this with my guests, first-time guests especially. This is kind of a precursor. You got to answer this question before we can get into the meat and potatoes. Good brother Billy, what are the movies or just anything, actors, performances, character, what have you, that got you to become the movie fan you are today?
Well, huge influence, obviously, Quentin himself. His movies were some of the first movies I started watching that, like, when I really, really, like, started appreciating film. A lot of horror, anime, and Stanley Kubrick. Those are really what got me into Scorsese and the big guys, and then just from there, just would dive into independent artists, and from there, my love just grew.
That's awesome, man. And was there one or two movies, or like, do you have a top list of movies that you would like? I know what we recently I showed you, introduced you inadvertently, by the way, to Perfect Blue.
That is one of my favorite films of all time. Definitely in my top 5. That's one of my favorite films.
Right?
I love that movie. Yeah,
that was a blind buy for me. I saw it on Amazon. I was like, all right, let me pick this up. Let me see what the hell this is about. And now that Blu-ray's out of print, by the way, so it goes for stupid money. And I watched it, and I was like, wow, like that was a great fucking movie. And then you were like, what movie are you watching right now?
Yeah, because I love anime, and that 90s animation is really what got me into anime. So when I saw you post that, I was just like, oh, I gotta see what this is and check this out, because it looked really interesting. And you told me about it. That was the only review I got on the movie. I just went in blind, bought the film. I was like, I know I'm gonna love this anyway. I bought it, and it instantly became a top 5 for me. Honestly, no lie.
I can't blame you, man, because it's a fucking fantastic movie. Like that's probably my favorite anime of all time. Junebug Films in the Heezy. What's going on, good brother? Hope all is well. He also has something controversial to say. I'm going to say something controversial. I think Quentin Tarantino is a great director, but I think he's overrated because he has his stick to me. What makes a good director is somebody who can switch. Interesting. Okay, so not everybody's on the QT bandwagon.
Okay. I respect it.
Yeah, I respect it too, as always.
I do feel I see where he's coming from too, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely I could see why he's a little controversial, and I do know a lot of people that think his movies are a little bit over the top. Like some people think Pulp Fiction is overdrawn and too long and too talky, and I can understand that. But I do think that is the guy's style. At the end of the day, it's the most important.
Dialogue.
Yes,
that's dialogue. That's what got me to drew me into him personally too.
Yeah, me too. Characters, it's the nods to other types of films like exploitation, blaxploitation, Asian cinema within Kill Bill,
the Grindhouse cinema, all that.
Yeah, it's incredible how many different bases that guy's been able to cover, and is the guy's career even 30 years long? I think he started in 92 and now it's 22.
92 was Reservoir Dogs, I believe.
Yeah, it was. So it's absolutely insane. So we can jump right into this, and that was a perfect segue, I guess.
That was a great. Thank you for getting to start right into it.
Yeah, for real. But starting it off, and I got an old one here. This is show you how old of a Quentin Tarantino fan I am. In 1992, his entire filmography, his entire career, it all started with a little movie called Reservoir Dogs. I got that VHS tape for you, man. Letterbox format, old school.
VHS, I love it.
Right? I watched that as a kid to death, man. This tape is like this and the Home Alone. It tells you how much of a 90s kid I am.
I still got my Ninja Turtle VHSs.
Really?
Yeah, I still got a couple out there.
That's fucking awesome, man. But Reservoir Dogs, I mean, is there a better movie you could really start your filmography on? Like, it's absolutely fucking insane.
And not only that, that's not even like, that's the first film that he wrote and directed himself, but he's had stuff like written and ready to go before that eventually weren't directed by him after. And like to start your career on that is such a high note. It's insane. Like he was welcomed right in to the table, literally.
He really was. And the thing with Reservoir Dogs that always stood out to me, and you see this in films and directors like John Carpenter when he started in his career. You see this with George Romero. You saw a director that didn't have a lot of money, because Reservoir Dogs, it mainly takes place in one area.
It's all in that warehouse pretty much, besides the diner and that one scene where a couple of scenes where they're in the house and running through the streets.
Yeah, and it's a heist movie, but it's the heist movie that doesn't show the heist. And I'm not positive if they couldn't have shown the heist. They probably could have, but it's one of those things where this movie's charm is its low budget and its charm is its cast. I think
the cast is what really, the cast and the dialogue is what carries that film. From Michael Madsen dancing on the to Steelers Wheel to Tim Roth
in the middle with you
to Tim Roth to Steve Buscemi talking about how he doesn't tip waitresses to everything. It's just incredible.
Somebody commented that. I don't tip. AJ, I don't tip, motherfucker. You hear that? That's the world's smallest violin. I mean, if she gives me a little something extra, I mean, I'll tip her. Well, what do you want her to do? Get on her knees and fucking blow you? Nick Gore's here. What's going on, good brother?
I worked in the food industry for years too, so I felt that one. Honestly, that was a harsh statement to throw out there.
Yeah, yo, dude, I couldn't imagine. Were you a waiter or were you?
I was a waiter and also a grill cook for a little bit.
Grill cook too? Holy shit, man! I mean, you've been through the fucking ring. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, no tips ever, nothing. It was terrible. Thank God. Thank God. Anyway, back to the movies.
Yeah, but yeah, man, this movie, it really does have it all. I mean, I love Harvey Keitel. I love the fact that all of them are whatever color: Mr. Pink,
Mr. Blonde, Mr. Blue, Mr. White, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Shit. Like, I love Lawrence Tierney is fucking great in this, and it's his small role. And the show, Chris Penn, may rest in peace. He's probably my favorite in the whole fucking thing. I love
the whole film. I respect it. I don't even know who I would say. As what, like, I don't know, maybe Blonde, just because of the ear scene.
The torture.
Yeah, the
horror fans and us like.
Steve Buscemi's definitely up there for me too in that movie.
Yeah, and what's funny? Like, a lot of these actors went on to work with Quentin again. Of course, Madsen a few times, Harvey and Hope, and it's weird that to me, Buscemi never went on to work with Tarantino again. Like Tim Roth worked with him again, but not
Same with Travolta.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I thought Steve Buscemi was wonderful in this movie. Like, we got a fucking rat in the house. He's great, man. Steve Buscemi's fucking underrated.
He wore jeans that entire film. Fun fact. They were supposed to wear suit pants, and if you look, he's wearing black jeans the entire film.
I never fucking noticed that. Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. See, Billy did his homework. Billy was watching the documentary.
I was watching the documentary today to get my facts right beforehand. Also, Michael Madsen didn't have black shoes. That's why he wore the cowboy boots, and that's why he ended up having the blade and the cowboy boots, because they needed a way to tie those in somehow. Because he was the only one without black suit shoes or like dress shoes on. Everyone else had dress shoes. He was the only one wearing cowboy boots.
Wow, I never knew that either. I've got to look at that documentary. I watched.
It's really good.
Like from Death Proof on, I watched, but I didn't see the first. I would love to hear what they had to say, of course, about this.
They did a great job on that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The first 8, I believe it's free on Stars if you have Stars, right?
Yes, it is on. If it's on Star, if you have a Star subscription, it's free for you.
Okay, yeah.
And on Amazon, it's on Prime.
Yeah, it's on Prime too. It's a really, the second half of it was a fantastic documentary. And man, I don't know though, like for me, this one really does work, like we were saying, because of its simplicity. And it's a movie where it doesn't feel like it has a big budget, but it really does feel creative. And it's a movie where let's have a heist movie and not show the heist.
Not show the heist, yeah.
Yeah, these literal colorful characters that are named after colors arguing with each other, and we have to ponder, who is the rat? Is there a rat? I don't know who's got the loot. I don't know if anybody's got the loot. I don't know who's dead. I don't know who's alive. You know, all these great kind of character scenes and moments, and playing with chronology, like when they went in the beginning, and then they have some flashback scenes.
And
how they all lead up to where they are when the film begins. And I thought that was a really smart style, and a style that he would go on to use in other films like Pulp Fiction next. That's where he made it famous.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it's just, to me, the best thing about Reservoir Dogs is the simplicity of it. It's really so simple, but it's so damn effective, in my opinion. Don't you think?
Which is why I think Hateful Eight was worked out so great too, because it's very in the it's his most similar film to Reservoir Dogs in my eyes is Hateful Eight.
Yeah. I watched that last night to prep for this, and man, I fucking love Hateful Eight. I watched the movie and I'll like quote it along while I'm watching it. Like shamelessly mark out. I'm like, when the hangman gets you hang. I love fucking Sam Jackson in that, man. He's fantastic.
That's one of his best roles in my eyes from the Tarantino films.
Yo, for real. And that's up there with one of my favorite. Michael Madsen is very, very, very underrated actor. I agree. Love Michael Madsen. Shit, you should be in a dream. You better wake up and apologize.
I sampled that in the track one day, actually. It'll be really? Out. It'll be out one day, yeah. It's done and complete.
That's awesome. Would you want to talk a little bit about your music? I don't know too much about it, but I know that you're hardcore into music.
Yeah, I'm very big into all genres of music. I started off, like, what got me into music was rock and roll, classic rock. Then I got into heavy metal and went through a whole heavy metal and punk. And but throughout that, I also always had a constant love for hip hop. And I eventually was just like, you know what, I could do this. So I started making beats, and after about like I dropped out. I made the decision to drop out of college before I even made my first beat. I was just like, I'm gonna drop out of college and start making beats and focus on music. Since that day, I've made music every single day, and it's just progressively gotten better. But I always have found a way to incorporate my love for films in my music by either sampling horror, sampling dialogue from films, sampling soundtracks. Like, I have a whole Jackie Brown soundtrack done of just Jackie Brown samples, like a whole thing of horror films done. I did a couple things a year ago on SoundCloud that I dropped, but I actually
Shining too, right? You did the song at the end of The Shining.
I did. It was Rosemary's Baby, the Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. I sampled Candyman on one thing, and I did do The Shining recently for 2 tracks. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Dude, I know Nigor does music too. Corey's the man. But yo, I think it's so cool that you can incorporate your passion for one thing and then put it into another. Like that can't be easy to do, but like I think that's what helps make it well-rounded at the same time. Like there's and same thing with Tarantino, right? I mean, he watched all sorts of films from all sorts of countries.
And took the aspects from everything and took it into one and like took it in. Yeah. My bad, rambled on. He took away to show it in each film a different style and a different thing. Where that's why I was gonna get back to where I do disagree with that one comment from before, where I don't think he's. I think his films are very similar in a way, but each film is a different genre, and it's all a different. It's a different experience each time.
Yeah, it really is, and you
Like
get
you know what you're gonna
flavor.
get in the film. You know you're gonna have that shootout at one point. You're gonna have that 40-minute dialogue of just them talking, sitting around, leading up to it. But I think that each film is a different, just a different just exploration of him, and like just a different side of him, and a different part of his life that he wanted to show, and like a different tie into his life.
Yeah, it really is. It's and that's what I really like about him. It's you know we'll move on to movies like Jackie Brown. That was his love letter to blaxploitation, and Death Proof is his love letter to the grindhouse era of the late '70s, where movies would have crazy titles and posters and you know all this crazy Mary Dirty whatever it's just crazy movies. But that's why we love them, man. It's just I
Yeah,
think what I love him for is that he's a fan of film too. It's not like, oh,
he is
like
one
I love Martin
of.
Scorsese, and like he definitely is a big fan of film. But with Quentin, you can see the movies he likes when you watch his movies. You're like, oh shit, that's a nod to Last House on the Left and The Hateful Eight when they used the David Hess song. I was like, that's so fucking cool, man. To nod Wes Craven and David Hess, may they both rest in peace. To say, hey, man, that scene meant a lot to me, and I want to homage it here. Some will say ripping off, but I see it as a honor. Like I'm honoring what I loved, and I think that's the beauty of Quentin Tarantino's filmography.
He said it himself in a quote. Great artists are always inspired by others, and that's true. You have to you could say you're not inspired, but you have to look around because you're eventually just gonna find yourself into a hole of just doing one thing over and over again.
Exactly. And once you start making the same film over and over again, that's when you start to become typecast. That's why George Romero, when he made Night of the Living Dead, he wanted to make anything in the world that wasn't a zombie movie next to him. He didn't want to be the zombie guy. You don't want to, I mean, granted, hey, you can have a fine career being the zombie guy, the slasher guy, whatever. But it's the true great artists that are able to expand and excel in every different genre. And Tarantino is, I think, the master at that. If it's not him, it's Kubrick. It's those two together, I think, that were able to dabble in each different genre and just really hit it out of the park. We have a bunch of comments. Also, Nigor asks, where can he listen? Is there a site?
I work with a bunch of artists. They're on Apple Music. Benny Bucks is one. Group Iconic is another. I got a couple of artists. I got a YouTube page. It's just Billy Henry Beats. I also have a SoundCloud, which is Billy Henry Beats. And so yeah, you can follow me on Instagram too, Billy Henry Beats.
Yeah, that I'll totally put your username, your YouTube channel link in the description.
Yeah, I'll send you it 100%. Thank you, man.
Dude, anytime. Best feet scene. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I don't have a fucking foot fetish like QT, man.
Kill Bill squishing the eyeball.
Oh my god. Okay.
But I'm biased.
I'm trying to think. Somebody said Death Proof. Yeah, I'll go with Death Proof.
The tickle is good. That's good.
I like the fucking when they're in the car and the bitch has her leg out the window and Stuntman Mike takes him out, her fucking leg flies off. Like that's probably my favorite. I love that one, man. Gotta love the scene. Oh my god, dude, feet scenes and QT movies. It's almost overdone.
There's one in everyone. You can find one in everyone.
Yeah,
that's one thing you can find in every Tarantino movie is a foot scene.
It's a weird trademark to have, I guess, but I mean, hey, it's a trademark. It's still, people remember that. I mean, especially in this last movie he did with Margot Robbie. Her fucking feet were all over that movie. I was like,
that and the other girl's feet were too. When she's in the car with Brad Pitt, she's smearing them all over the windshield and everything.
Yeah, I was sitting in the theater and people were like, ew, like, is this fucking necessary? I was like, probably fucking not. But
he loves it. He loves his feet. You just gotta let him have it.
You gotta bro.
He owns it. He owns it. So you can't shame someone who owns something that much. because there is no shame behind him for it. Like,
And
yeah,
all the fucking films he's given us, he's allowed to have any fucking fetish.
yeah. Let him throw in his couple minutes of feet.
Oh my god, man, I love it. But that is I guess that's a fun enough transition into his next film, and what's most people would say is his magnum opus, a film that in a lot of ways it changed movies. It changed the way people look at movies, and it's one of the most revolutionary movies in the history of cinema. And that movie is from 1994. It is none other than Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. Holy shit, man. Walk me through, because this is I've heard so many good stories about asking this one. What was your first experience watching Pulp Fiction like?
Where was I? I was home, just home bored one day. It was me and my mom. I was just flipping through channels on HBO, and I just happened to catch it. Just happened to be starting, and I was like, "Oh, I've heard so many things about this. Like, I've got to finally watch it." I was really young too. I'm trying to think how old I was at the time, but I can't remember. And I just remember being honestly really enjoying the film, but being really confused my first
Yeah,
time. I was really confused. I was like, wait, John Travolta just got shot 20 minutes ago. Now he's coming back again. I was
I
like,
was in the diner. Yeah.
what's happening? Like, I was like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I was really confused. I had to go back and watch it the next day and rewatch it to fully grasp it and understand it. And that's one thing, honestly, I found out that I have to do. You have to do with a lot of his films. You have to rewatch them a second time, in my opinion, to fully catch everything that he throws it, because he throws so much in there. There's so much dialogue, there's so much action, there's so much everything happening that, like, to fully understand what's going on, you have to really just watch it twice, honestly.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't remember how old I was, but I had seen Reservoir Dogs, and I was like, oh my God, Quentin Tarantino, the guy that did Reservoir Dogs, I want to watch this. And people were, oh, it had this big reputation, and I was like, oh man, I want to check this movie out. And I watched it, and I didn't love it. I was like, okay, it was fine, like not the greatest movie in the world, but again, I was so fucking confused. I was like, wait a minute, like what, like we're jumping around all over the place. I always did love two things about the movie, and that's Sam Jackson especially, and John Travolta.
They are phenomenal in that film, and in my eyes, that's my favorite John Travolta role. I'm really not a big John Travolta fan to begin with, to be honest, though, but that's by far my favorite role that he has done. And I think Samuel Jackson just was the only person that could have played that other role too. Perfect.
Yeah, he really did. Jules Winfield, to me, that was the number one thing I took away from it the first time I saw it, was that end scene in the diner and the whole Ezekiel 25:17. I am the righteous man, and I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd, Ringo. I remember when I watched it, like just laughing as the movie, like the last 20 minutes, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what?
He's just going off.
Yeah, it really does. It goes all over the place, and I'm with $1,500. I'm buying my freedom, and all this stuff. And I remember being just enamored by the end of that film. And when it ended, I was like, man, I'm a little confused, but I want to watch it again. And I remember I watched the movie the very next day and was
That's
like,
exactly
just
what I did.
trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and the bandage on the back of Bing Rames.
And what was that?
What was in the briefcase, and some people say it was his soul, and like
that's one
I don't
thing.
know.
You see him scroll to the 666 to unlock it, so it makes sense. But then you're just like, there's other theories. Like, I don't know. We'll never. He said it himself. You'll never know.
Yeah, and I think that's the genius of it. There shouldn't be an answer. It should be whatever is up to your interpretation. It's one of those kind of movies where it doesn't really have to tell you that. And there are some loose ends, but why do we have to know that? It's like the fun of fan speculation. We do have some comments in here. Somebody was saying they saw it for $1. Yeah, saw Pulp Fiction for $1 show. First time blew me away. Dude, that's so crazy, man.
That's a great story.
Dude, that is so crazy. Pulp Fiction is a bloody masterpiece. Say what one more goddamn time. Dude, amazing.
What?
I started the movie. I was just hypnotized by two guys talking about burgers, foot rubs. It really is. It's the Royale with cheese and rubbing a woman's fucking feet ain't even the same fucking ballpark. Like all those dialogue scenes are fantastic. And like I think I see the movie in like 3 parts, right? So I know there's technically like 7 or whatever, but the Travolta and Uma Thurman going out, that I love all of that, in the diner and don't you just love to come back from the table, to take your food waiting for you, and the dancing, and like that's just iconic.
The awkward silence where they talk about whether you could have a moment of silence and not be awkward, and that whole scene was great. The dancing was phenomenal. That whole setup was amazing too. Like there was literally a made up land of just homage to classic celebrities. It was great. How can you not love that?
Yeah, I want to sit with Marilyn Monroe.
You want to go there. Like you're lying if you don't want to go there.
Yo, for real. And it's amazing like how iconic he can make going out to dinner. You know what I mean? Like it's such a they go out to dinner and they dance. Like there's nothing really else to it. It's not a vital scene in the movie. It's not like anything where you're like, all right, well this improve the plot here or there. No, it's just two people talking at a dinner table, what we do in our lives day in and day out, and he makes it memorable and iconic. And I think that's one of the biggest charms of his entire career, but especially this movie, where you're just like, oh my God, like why does this work so well? And of course Uma overdoses, and there's the whole you gotta stab her. I gotta stab her 3 times. No, you gotta stab her once. You just gotta make sure you fucking break the breastplate and all this shit. Like
he's like, you gotta stab her. He's like, I gotta stab her 3 times.
3 times. I love it. Then you have the Bruce Willis segment in the middle, which I do think of the 3, it's the one that I'm kind of Like I do love the stuff with him and Ving Rhames kicking ass, but when he's in the room with his girl.
That's the one scene where I can say it does drag a little. Also, there is one thing I noticed the other day. I fell asleep watching that movie the other night. Well, I tried to. And the scene where he's in the house, where he's in his house getting his watch, and where he smokes Vincent, he sets off the smoke alarm. And that smoke alarm he's in that house for a solid like 2 more minutes, and that smoke alarm is beeping throughout the entire scene of that movie. And the only reason I really realized that the other day was because my eyes were shut and I started dozing off. But that smoke alarm woke me up, and I was like, when is this going to stop? I had to fast forward to the end of it. I was like, I can't listen to this anymore. That's the only scene in the film that I will say it does drag a little bit. But even that, it's such a great watch.
Yeah, it is. It is. I will agree with you, though. That's like the one where I'm like, if I had the John Grande fan cut of this, I would cut that scene out, and it's literally the perfect movie. But it's still a fucking perfect movie. And then, of course, the ending.
There is a couple of cut scenes from that where Pam Grier was in a whole scene with the wolf in the casino when they call him. There's a whole Pam Grier scene that got cut out. Yep, but he had cut due to time in the film.
Is it still on, like, if you buy the Blu-ray, is that on the Blu-ray?
I don't know. I don't know if you can find it anywhere. I don't know if he ever did it, if he even filmed it, but he had Pam Grier ready to go for the scene and then told her, don't worry about it. I'm going to do a movie for you eventually. And he did stick to his word.
Yeah, the next movie, too. Isn't that crazy? Yep. Dude, that's so... I, again, never knew that either. Yeah. I have to see the first half of that documentary.
Yeah, man. It's a great watch.
That is so goddamn cool. But and then that third, the third and final chapter, the finale with Jules Winfield.
That is by far the best segment in my opinion.
Me too. Like it's the Marvin, and you think that God came down from heaven and stopped the boat? Oh, he shot him. Why'd you do that? It's classic. And then the wolf, and we're gonna clean this up. And Quentin Tarantino makes his cameo in it.
His usual cameo kills it as always.
Yep. I just think the whole ending like and finale is so much fun.
He goes, you guys look like a bunch of dorks. These are your clothes.
These are your clothes, motherfucker. I love it, man. Harvey's a lot of fun in this, and like just playing a completely different role for Harvey. But man, he nails it. And like I don't know, I think it's just one of those movies that it works on every single level. The acting is fantastic. The look, the scope of the film incredible. And it's a movie, again, which plays with the chronology and really was the most famous movie to do that, because
it
it
really
really
fucks with your head the first time. Like, if you go into it not really knowing what you're expecting, you're gonna be like, wait, what is happening right now? What's going on? Like, you're gonna be so confused. You're gonna enjoy it, but you're gonna be very confused.
I was totally that guy. Like, I was like, I like this. I was like, I like this, but I don't really understand what the fuck's going on. And then when you watch it, but I think that's what makes this movie stand out again too, because if it was standard, if it was from point A to point B like every other movie, I don't know if it would have that iconic.
It wouldn't have that instant classic feel to it.
No, it wouldn't. And like, it's the movie, it's what sets this movie apart. Because I remember this year was 94, one of the best years for movies ever. It was up best picture at the Oscars. These were the three movies: Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption. Those are all fucking great movies.
All ranked at some of the highest films of all time. Like, you will meet a person that has Forrest Gump as their favorite film of all time in their life. You will meet a person that has Shawshank Redemption as their favorite film, and you will meet a person that has Pulp Fiction in their favorite film, possibly all within a 24-hour span, to be honest.
Yeah. And in the same goddamn year, all those movies come out, and you can make your arguments for all three of why they're better than the other or whatever. But I do think that what sets Pulp Fiction apart is that playing with the timeline and the loop
frame. Yep.
And the dialogue, again, because it probably of those three is the smallest budget, but you see that Tarantino was able to do that much more and really show what he could bring to the table. And to me, if there was a film that you wanted to show somebody from his filmography that said, this is Quentin Tarantino in a bundle, like this is what he, like the best he has to offer, his best hits, it's Pulp Fiction. I think it really is his masterpiece, his magnum opus. I know people will disagree. I definitely, I don't know if it's my personal favorite,
but I could tell you right now, it's not my personal favorite, but I 100% agree with what you just stated, that like, if I had to show a person one film to describe Quentin Tarantino, I'm probably playing them Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, it has to be. It's this or Reservoir Dogs. That's how you start somebody off on QT, and then they can make their decision from there if they like them or not. So that is Pulp Fiction. I am a huge fan, man. I adore the film. It's an 11 out of 10 for me. An absolute.
I agree with you, 100%.
All-time masterpiece. And thus moving on to his next film in, I believe, 1997. I don't own this one.
It was 97.
Yes, it was 1997, starring Miss Pam Grier as Jackie Brown. Yes, Jackie Brown from 1997. I won't lie, I saw this one much later in.
I only saw this one honestly recently, like this year.
Yeah, that's like, see, isn't that funny? Like, I don't know why.
That and Death Proof were the last two I saw. I don't know why. I love Quentin Tarantino. It's just from the trailer of it is just not fitting.
Yeah, it's a bad trailer. I agree.
It's just a bad trailer. So like, the trailer made me not really like care to ever see it. But then I was just like, I like, he's my favorite director. I might as well watch all of his films. Like, there's no reason for me to be ignorant and not watch this one. Yeah. So I finally got to it, and I loved it. It's honestly in probably my top like 6 or 7 from him.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting film, because we were talking about this before we started the show. It was really his tribute to blaxploitation movies like Coffee, starring Pam Grier, and Rudy Ray Moore, and all these amazing blaxploitation stars and movies of the early 70s to even early 80s. I love a lot of those movies. There's some fun ass drive-in movies, and like
another thing the documentary told me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
I had to throw in this fact quick while we were on there. His mom, he grew up with a single mother who actually only dated black men, really, and they took him out to always see the blaxploitation films to try and get on his mother's good side. So that's why that's one of the reasons why he made that film. It was to pay his homage to something that he loved growing up, like we were just talking about.
And isn't that incredible, like how you can take going out with your mother's boyfriend, and like that can't be a comfortable experience for a kid. Be like, all right, you're not really my dad, and you're trying to get with my mom, and then bonds with each other over a film. Like coffee and fun at blaxploitation movies where, you know, black people could be the heroes and black people could kick ass, where in that time era you didn't have a lot of that outside of George Romero films. You really didn't. So making them the focal point, making them the star, and Pam Grier being the fucking blaxploitation star of that era, and having her years and years later star in his
come back and star in this, it was incredible.
Yeah,
And
it really was.
Also, one of Robert De Niro's most underrated roles, in my opinion.
Oh my fucking god, dude! Robbie D nearly steals this fucking film. Like,
dude, when he shoots her in the parking lot, that is one of the best scenes in the entire film.
Louis, yo. By the way, I never changed the feat. I love Bridget Fonda. I would fuck the shit out of Bridget Fonda in this movie, and Robert De Niro does. That hit the spot, man. I fucking love this movie. This entire cast is, again, great. And Sam Jackson, I do know this about the film. Sam Jackson said that this is his favorite Tarantino film, and it's his favorite performance of his career.
Yes, I agree. That I'm not agreeing. Like, I'm just like saying, yes, I did hear that also. But I will say that's my least favorite Samuel Jackson hairstyle of all time.
I agree, yeah, and the fucking
that was horrible, dude. With the beard and the ponytail, it was like blonde, orangish at the time. I don't know what it was. I hated that haircut, but I loved him in that role.
Yeah, he was really
the character perfect.
Yeah, he did, and like it's weird because coming off Jules Winfield, which is such a, to me, like a martyr character, and this Sam Jackson's really playing the villain, like, and he's
a scumbag in the entire film.
When he kills, I love the scene where he kills Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker off rip.
Chris Tucker's like, man, I don't want to get in this car. And he's like, you go get in the motherfucking car. I'm gonna pop the trunk. You're gonna fucking shoot the motherfucker. And then he drives, literally does like a fucking circle and then shoots him. Shit. Fucking classic, man. I absolutely love Sam Jackson in this. And like, it's one of those movies where I will say I agree it's not my favorite. Like, it's definitely, and it'd probably be towards the bottom. But even so, I do love all his films. I still think this is a really good film.
All his films are in my top 20, honestly. So when we're ranking them, like, it's all very loosely based because he's truly one of my favorite directors. So, like, it's all very hard to rank them. But, like, it's not, I agree with you. It's not in my top, but like watching it again over and over again, it honestly does move up the ladder for me each time. In a year.
It does.
That's my favorite Tarantino soundtrack too, by far.
Ooh, that's a good pick. I will go with one down the road. I have one, and it might shock people, but I do love Across 110th Street. I love that song at the end. Like, I'm always like, damn, why didn't he go with her? Like, it's one of those, like, I'm always like, damn you, Max Cherry, you should have went with her, man. That's Jackie Brown, bro. I do think Robert Forster is great in this. Man, he passed away this year. He was phenomenal in this. Got an Oscar nomination, I believe. And this is a movie where it's funny because it's really long and it all really focuses around the main, like the last 30 minutes where they're like doing this money drop off and whatnot. And you get that through different chronology. Like, one person was here. You get it from everybody's perspective. I thought that was all well done. And I think some of the dialogue scenes in this are really good. I do think this one, though, is a little bit lengthy. Like, this one, if there was any like Tarantino film I'd cut a little bit, it's this one. Like, there's some things you can cut out of this movie.
Yes.
And even with that said, though, I do love the stuff with Robbie D and Bridget Fonda. I love the stuff with fucking Wendell. I mean, it's fucking fantastic. I think there are some really, really good character scenes in this. And do you think, I know that when this came out, it was received positively, but it was received as sort of a letdown from Pulp Fiction. Do you see it as that, or do you think it's just one of those nothing can follow?
You can't compare them. They're not the same film at all. That's why I think like people were trying to compare it to Pulp Fiction at the time, and it just they're not the same movie. One's like Pulp Fiction is a crime film, an action like thriller, like just not even thriller.
Everything. It's really everything.
Yeah. Jackie Brown realistically is a blaxploitation love film. Like it's a romance.
Yeah.
when it really comes down to it, there's a main character who is a bad guy, but like it's not the same. I don't know. It's just like, so like I do get when you have Samuel Jackson coming back to play again in the movie right after, like you're like hyped and expecting him to be like like everything to be like one way again, but I don't think they're comparable films in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think that it is the one film that, of all of his movies, it doesn't feel like it takes place in that Tarantino universe, if that makes any sense. Like, it really feels like
Well,
it's almost. I think this is the only. Wasn't it based on a novel? Wasn't there a novel,
yeah,
Jackie Brown?
Rum Punch. It was based on Rum Punch, so it is the only one that really isn't tied into his all his characters. All you know how all his characters are related in a weird way, or one or the other. Every movie ties into each other. It's the only one that really didn't have that connection because it was a novel that like was already done. So again, if you're redoing a novel, how are you going to compare it to just I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. Anything to follow Pulp Fiction. I don't think you could have, but I do think that it's probably his most laid back film, and it really doesn't feel as upbeat or
I
whatever.
agree 100%.
It's a very mature film for him, and I think in a lot
Yes,
of ways, it's really nice that he said for his third film, after following what a movie that people were like, "Oh my God, what is coming next?" I mean,
it has jumping all over the place. You're just questioning what's happening the whole time. Like this is a very straightforward, like watch the film, just relax and enjoy it.
it really is, and I think that it's one of those ones where it's not going to get as much love as the rest, but I do think it really does have something important to say about blaxploitation film stars, and I think that it's a very nice love letter to a bygone era of the early 70s. And that's like my favorite era of film is the 70s, 80s, like those that gap. It's just
Yeah,
incredible for someone to say, "Hey, I just made a movie that won Best Picture at Cannes. I'm gonna make a blaxploitation film next." Much respect to Tarantino for
yes.
doing, and I'm a fan of Jackie Brown. Not one of my favorites, but definitely a movie I've come and known to respect over the
Yeah.
years.
You
Um,
just have to appreciate it after watching it. It's just really, it's a very well done film to not appreciate.
yeah, it really is. So moving on, though, he took a little bit of a hiatus from 1997 all the way to 2004. I believe you're rocking the shirt. I can't see completely, but oh my goodness,
I got the one of ones. Shout out to my friend Alana.
wow, yo, it's fucking sick. All right, that's got to be the coolest fucking shoe I've ever seen on the graveyard. Wow.
By far my favorite Tarantino film.
Yes, from 2004, it is Kill Bill, and we got Billy on the show. So, do you want to give? Because I know this is your favorite, so I want you to be able to talk about it as long as you want. Walk me through the first time you saw this movie, because I'm sure it was really impactful, and I know it's
This
one of your.
was the first two Tarantino films I actually ever saw were Pulp Fiction. Then I saw Kill Bill, and then I saw Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
Kill Bill, like first time seeing it, honestly, I loved it, but I watched both of them the same day because you have to. I loved it, but I didn't really appreciate it at the time. My second time seeing it is when I was like, this is my like one of my favorite films ever done, and like by far, like I love this movie to death. Is one of my biggest influences in everything. Just the storyline to it, the fight scenes, the tribute to the kung fu movies, just everything about that film, the dialogue in it, just is she gonna get to Bill eventually? Like everything throughout is just phenomenal.
It
And
is.
it just was such a great it really is such a great watch, and to this day is still one of my favorite films to see and view.
I totally agree with you, and I think
And
this is
by
one of.
far, in my opinion, his best fight scenes to date.
Totally, man. I'm a huge fan. I love the fight scene with Lucy Liu in the snow. I always thought that was the best fight scene in the movie.
Oranishi is definitely one of the best fight scenes. Her with who was it? Vernita Fox or yeah, Vernita Green. Yes, her with Vernita Green. When the daughter walks in, that's by far one of my favorite scenes in the film because they just went from killing each other to mom real fast. And when she plucks out the eye from the snake with Ellie, like everything is just incredible. The fight scenes in that were unbeatable. To even just her doing the five finger death punch at the end is just like it's all so good.
It is.
It's like
really,
you would think it's like cheesy fight scenes and stuff, but it's just all so well done because it really does just pay such great tribute to those old kung fu movies. And Zoe Bell with the stunts just did phenomenal on that.
yeah. Zoe Bell is great, man. She's super underrated.
She is incredible with what she does.
And I love that she's gone on to be like an actual actress.
From it. Yep. She was in Hateful Eight. She was in Django. She was in
Death Proof.
She had characters. Yeah, in Death Proof. Yep. She was the main character.
Her performance, and like I think Uma Thurman does a great job in this movie. And like to me, the thing that always stood out to me about this movie was its visual style. Like I always loved the scene where she's facing all of them at once, and she has the classic like on your shoe where it's the night, and it turns blue, and you see shadows at points,
and then they go to the silhouette where it's behind the wall, and you just see the silhouettes fighting and stuff. To then opening the door to the snow just coming down beautifully, like everything about it was such phenomenally shot film.
Yeah, it's that aesthetic that really always made me love this film more so than anything else in it. And does it have the great dialogue? Yes. Does it have the colorful characters? Yes. Does it have like all the other things that you'd love to love in a Tarantino film? Absolutely. But I thought this one visually was just so breathtaking and pops right off the screen. I hope they come out with a 4K of this because I would eat that up, man. It's such a good looking
amazing
film. And even though like I know a lot of people say, oh, volume 1, volume 2, I always pretty much see them as one
same film. Not the same film, but you have to group them as one film.
Me too. Yeah. Like I don't like when someone says, oh, Kill Bill, I like 1 better than 2. I'm like, it's the same movie. 1 is basically all the fight scenes, and then 2 is all the dialogue. But it's one film. Like to me, it's the action part of it, the dialogue, and the whole bloody affair. I know you can buy that now. It's like the whole 4-hour cut or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, man. I love
that's the movie too where if you're watching the first one, you're gonna watch the next one either that same day or the next day. You have to. It's a story to finish. Like it's like how are you gonna not, because it's not like a sequel or like anything. Like the story's not done. That's what, like, you know what I mean? So like that's why I also consider it one film, because the story never finished in the first one. Like she didn't get the bill. She didn't kill him yet.
Yeah, no, it ends with her daughter's alive. Dun dun dun. Until next time. I was like, oh shit! Like, yeah. But when I first saw it, I was like, now I gotta watch Volume 2. I always loved in Volume 2 though, and I don't know why, but I love the David Carradine scene, and may he rest in peace too. And it's sad, a lot of these people are gone. Like I feel like every time, like, oh, rest in peace, rest in peace. But when he's talking about Clark Kent and that entire Clark Kent, that's Superman's fucking thoughts on the entire human race. That's his view of us. And like to me, it's that psychology there. I never ever thought about that. You know, like I never thought what Superman envisioned Clark Kent as. But I think in a weird way, he's exactly right. Like we are these preppy motherfuckers that dress up nice and worry about what others think and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's in the moment where he just he belittles her, and she's like, oh my God. Like she almost thinks about it, you know? And I really appreciate that psychology in that scene, because I think David Carradine, number one, he was the perfect actor to fucking pull that off.
He was perfect for that role.
He was. He really was.
All his experience with the kung fu movies in the past too, to just like his looks for, like everything just fit perfect for that role.
It did, and I mean, and Daryl Hannah with the eye patch, homaging movies like They Call Her One Eye. I'm looking for my DVD of it. I have the DVD of They Call Her One Eye. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
exploitation films. That like to me, like nodding off to that movie, saying like, "Hey, man, I know that's one of the great exploitation." But I was like, "Wow, like that's so cool and meta that he's acknowledges that this movie, this Swedish random grindhouse movie from the '70s." I was like, he even put that in there, you know.
Yeah.
And I do have to ask though, what is your favorite fight? I know we talked about it, but the listeners will definitely want to know. And everybody in the comments, please do tell us, what's your favorite fight of Kill Bill?
The green fight.
Ooh, the green fight. Okay, yeah.
The daughter. Just because of the daughter scene, I think. Actually, I don't know. Oranishi is definitely probably overall the best fight scene, but my favorite overall fight itself was just because like the daughter comes in and stops the fight mid-fight, and like they just both look at her, and the daughter knows what's about to happen. They both know what's about to happen, and they just say, "Go to your room, sweetie," and
Yeah.
she goes, and then she comes back in after. And it's
It sets
phenomenal.
it up for volume 3 down the road, you know, like if they ever want to go back to it.
They need to.
Yo, right? I like that she's like, I basically murdered your mom, and if you ever get angry about that down the road, I'll be waiting for you.
You can find me. She's like, and I also love in that one that has some of my favorite character references to his films in the future and in the past, and just like his that really ties his universe in like a lot in a sense, like with the if you know I don't know if you ever noticed the grave that they bury her in is Paula Schultz, who died in 18 something, which is led to believe that's Dr. King Schultz's wife from Django. So it's believed that they buried her in there. Then she pulls out Michael Madsen's razor from Reservoir Dogs.
Yep.
And the Earl McGraw as the sheriff from Dusk Till Dawn. All those, it's just incredible. Like, how can you not?
Yeah, it's really it's so meta to be like, hey, like I'm gonna fucking do that.
Bring everything, like even films that you don't even know exist yet. I'm gonna somehow find a way to tie these in a few years.
Like, yeah, he was like, fuck really? It, I'll name Dr. Schultz in Django, and fucking that was his wife. Just all those sorts of things. Only him, man. He's so smart at integrating that stuff in.
And the universe is phenomenal.
Funny, like Easter egg to find and be like, oh, that's fucking Madsen's razor from Dogs. Isn't that so?
To her crossing across the airport with the red apple to add in the back because he's always got the red apple tobacco. Like he literally created his own brand of cigarettes that are in every single one of his films. Like
yep, and Big Kahuna Burger. That's
Big Kahuna Burger. Everything. Like he made his own universe phenomenally.
Yeah. And it's so memorable. Everybody remembers that. Like even I think in the latest in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leo was smoking a red apple. In the end credits.
You did an ad for him.
Yeah, I was like, oh my fucking god! I was like, of course. I was like, this has to be in there.
They have to tie it in somehow.
Yeah.
They have the Hateful Eight scene where he's smoking the Roja. What was it? I don't know how to say red apple.
I don't know apple either in Spanish. But
they said it in Spanish because it was Senor Bob smoking it.
Senor Bob. Oh my god, dude, that's gonna be a fun one to talk about. That's one of my favorites. But dude, Kill Bill, I think it's an excellent pick for you being your favorite Tarantino film because it really does have it all, and it's one of those movies. It's probably his most kick-ass movie, and the one where I know there's a lot of gore in a lot of his films, like especially Django and Hateful Eight, but this is the one where I feel like the gore almost looks the best, and the fight scenes are incredible. The aesthetic,
there's not gunshots blasting off like in a weird way, It's like the aesthetic of the fights were beautiful to watch. Versus like you're just like, oh wow, like whoa, like just people getting blown to shit like every 5 seconds. Versus like you're like, who's gonna win? Like who's gonna stab who? Like who's gonna cut who? Like what's gonna happen? Like is she gonna get out of the bot? Like it's just so aesthetically beautiful to watch them fight in a weird way.
It is, and it definitely is the most realistic of all his movie fights. Like it just feels, it doesn't feel choreographed, even though it probably was. It was, but it looks so fucking unique and genuine. I think it's a really, it's nothing short of a
So like
masterpiece.
the running up the rafters in the Oren Ishii fight to everything, like the just her fight with the what's her name, Ellie, with the when she takes her eye out, like that was brutal, but like the way she did it was just so gracefully and fast and like just peaceful in a sense. Like
Yeah, for
it
real. It really
really was like in a weird way peaceful. Like everything throughout the movie was just peaceful and calm in a calm setting too.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird like dynamic, but it is a movie called Kill Bill. In a way, it's the most peaceful like revenge plot ever
Yeah.
in some weird way. But I don't know. I guess that's why it works. Kill Bill, absolutely love the film. Moving on into his next movie, most will tell you this is his worst, and most will tell you that if there's any movie of his they don't like, it's this one. I fucking wholeheartedly disagree. It is from 2007. It was one half of the Grindhouse Drive-In double feature, of course, alongside Planet Terror. It is Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof. Yes, from 2007, starring the legendary Kurt Russell. This is one of my favorites.
That's one of my favorite Kurt Russell roles. I will say that.
It might be my favorite Kurt Russell role. Like just
I think as an overall film, I understand because it definitely is probably towards the bottom of my list in the rankings from his overall films. But I just love and appreciate like people didn't. I don't think understand what he was going for in that film. That ones that don't like it, you know what I mean?
yes,
Like
definitely.
you don't. I don't think those people really got what he was trying to do and bring back and like get people to like watch and see.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people got the concept of the double feature because this was released as a double feature. So you had
With
Planet
Planet
Terror and fake trailers, and then Death Proof. And I think people were like, what? And the movie bombed. I mean, it was a huge.
It definitely was his worst commercial success.
Yeah, because it wasn't released. I think it was released individually in like other countries,
Yeah.
but it wasn't in the States. It was only released as the double feature.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people really harp on this one. They say, "Oh, it's a lot of women talking about nothing, and it's not interesting like Pulp Fiction."
I think that dialogue was very interesting.
Yeah, I did too.
I think that beginning scene because you don't realize like the first time I saw it, honestly, I forgot and didn't realize that dialogue, that opening dialogue went on for like 30 minutes, dude.
It does. It really does.
It's like a 30, 35, 40-minute dialogue, yo. And I was watching that, and my first time, I felt like it was only 10, 15 minutes into the film. I was just like, oh, okay, like that. Because so much happens throughout that film, but I also feel like it doesn't feel long at all.
No,
Just
it doesn't.
so much happens, though, throughout it that I didn't realize how much time that dialogue actually took up.
Yeah. It's actually it's crazy. I know what you mean. Aiden Vavra says Death Proof is badass and it's a lot of fun. Easily the best of the double feature Grindhouse. I agree completely. I like it way better than I like Planet Terror. And I think to me why I love this movie and being the horror fan that I am, I love that the first half is almost like his take of a slasher film. Like you have the silhouette shot of stuntman Mike watching them leave Bueros and laughing, and you get this awesome like neon red shot of him laughing in the car, and you see his shadow and looking in the mirror and the scar and the whole scene. Rose McGowan
when he goes to get in the car at first, and he just looks in the camera maniacally and smiles at you.
Oh yes, the fourth wall break is great. But I love when he's talking to Rose McGowan at the bar and hey, anybody in this place you vouch for to give me a ride home? Yep. Rose the keys. Fair lady, your shadow. I remember when I first saw that. That's Kurt Russell at his best. And to me, Kurt Russell in the 80s, he was always the hero, right? And Escape from New York. The Thing is McCready, like Big Trouble, Little China, Jack Burton. He was always the badass. He was always the hero. And then this movie, he's the villain for a large part of it. And then what I thought was the most brilliant thing, it was the end, where this entire movie is killing women and seducing them, getting lapped at. It's awesome. Um, when the scene when he finally gets shot and starts crying like a bitch,
Yeah.
he's exactly that. He's a bitch, and he's I'm
Yep.
just playing around.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah, to me, seeing Kurt Russell go there with it, that this guy was a fraidy cat that preyed on weak, vulnerable women
Yep.
who now are going to fight back and kick his candy ass.
Yeah.
I thought that was such an interesting turn because usually it's always the macho man and you know, and they overcome that. I
You're
find that
watching it and you're thinking like the whole time you're like, oh, it's gonna end with him getting them. And like, you're like,
yeah.
hey, like he's gonna get them in the end.
And what I think is just
They
amazing,
got them.
he was able to channel that, like, because we always love Kurt Russell as the badass, as the hero, and then to see him go full on bitch, like, oh, you know, the baby heel, and get his ass kicked by these women. So much fun. And the car chase scene, which to me, the second half of the film is more of a tribute to those great car movies of the 70s. And
That and a tribute to all the. I think it was a tribute to all the stuntmen and stuntwomen too, especially having Zoe Bell star in it for her first time as her first lead like actress role and stuff like that. Like and doing her own stunt for it too. Like it was definitely a nod to them.
Yeah, and I liked how I watched this part of the documentary where she was saying they shot the whole thing, and then somebody was like, "Oh, well, we didn't see your face," and she was like, "Oh," Tarantino's like, "Well, we have to refilm it. It's not gonna work unless they see the terror on your face when you're on the hood of this fucking car."
Her whole career was based off not seeing her face.
It's
like when your whole career is based off not showing your face, what are you going to do? And when your natural reaction is not show every time the camera shows up, you're going to turn away. And that's incredible. I love that. That is a fun fact. That was one of my favorites.
I thought that was so interesting. And they were like, all right, you have to refilm it. And you gotta pretty much break kayfabe. I know you're a wrestling fan. You got to break character and fucking look at the camera and act now.
Yeah.
And I always appreciated that. This is my favorite soundtrack of Tarantino. I know it's a weird one, but I love it. I love
I respect it.
The song
in the beginning.
It's so good, man. And the chick habit at the end, and oh my god, my friend Warren inside says that jukebox is pretty impressive. Yeah, it is. There's something about this movie that speaks to me. It has the horror elements of the first half and the laughing, music, and the dialogue, and then the second half is almost a nod to those action movies, grindhouse movies. I eat it all up. It's definitely like my cup of tea. This and Hateful Eight are like my cup of tea kind of movies. Before
I agree with you on that for sure.
So
I do love the film. I do love the film, no doubt.
Yeah,
and I have to thank you for that DVD, by the way.
Oh, I got you, dude. I was literal blockbuster for him. I started cracking up when he said that, man. Is one of Kurt Russell's best roles. Dude, yes, I love that one. Very underrated. Kind of a cannibal film. Pretty good one. But yeah, funny story. Billy was like, I don't have Death Proof. And I was like, dude, I got you. Drove the DVD to his house, put it in his mailbox, and he's like, Grande is blockbuster in 2020.
It's like when Netflix first started, when they used to mail you the DVDs.
Yeah. No charge from me, though, good brother.
No charge.
But yes, that was Death Proof. In my opinion, underrated. I would say underrated.
I agree with you. A very underrated film.
Yeah.
I don't think it deserves the hate that it critically receives from a lot of people. I don't see why. Like, I just don't think they understand what he was trying to do. If like it's one of the people that are hating on it, I don't think they truly understand what he was targeting or going for with that film, because I think he hit every aspect very well.
He did. And I think it's the film, I don't know, I guess the genre he decided to make that it was the least popular of all of them in a lot of ways. Like not a lot of people, like average moviegoers, are going to say, hey, I want to go watch an exploitation movie now that's homaging the 70s. Not a lot of people are going to do that. So I
also do have to say, one of my favorite things about that film is how it has too that like old school horror filming style, like with the slashes throughout the filming and everything. For like, I just love that whole feel that it gives throughout the whole movie. And I also love that what was her name? One of the girls, her ringtone when they're in the store right before it switches to color was the Kill Bill whistle.
You know, I never noticed that. That's Mary Elizabeth.
Next time you watch, right before it switches the color, it's what's her name? The black chick.
Rosario Dawson?
Yeah, Dawson.
Okay.
She gets a call when they're in the convenience store, like grabbing. I forgot what they were grabbing, but they're in the convenience store. She gets a call on her cell phone, and it's the Kill Bill whistle. I also always thought that opening scene was homage he was paying homage to his own Pulp Fiction with that opening dialogue in the car scene, because it really did give me that vibe, and I honestly liked it in the sense that it gave me that Pulp Fiction vibe when they were driving in the beginning talking.
Yeah, and and they had the posters of Jungle Julia, and one of them is her as Kill Bill. Like this is one of those movies where you watch it and go, "Wow, he's become so big that he's become his own biggest fucking influence." And like that, Kubrick did the same.
Homage to himself throughout.
Isn't that crazy? And like Kubrick, I know Kubrick did that in Clockwork Orange, where you see there's a scene where he's going through all the albums, and the front one is 2001: A Space Odyssey. I was always like, oh my god, this motherfucker, he's his own biggest ripoff now. He's ripping himself off.
His own biggest fan too.
Yeah, for real. But hey, I can't blame him. But yeah, Death Proof came out. A lot of people weren't too happy with it. So that really, a lot of people don't realize this, but I remember the next movie that we're going to talk about here, there were some doubts from people. People didn't like Death Proof. People were like, shit, is he just,
to those people, were they wrong, man?
They were fucking blown away by this movie from 2009. It is Inglourious Bastards, starring the legendary Brad Pitt, great Diane Kruger, Christoph Waltz in the movie that made his career.
One of my favorite casted Tarantinos, personally.
Yeah, and it would probably be in my top 3 or 4. I love
that. In my top 3, definitely. I love that. I think my top 3 would have to be Kill Bill, Django, or Inglourious. Swap the 2 for 2 and 3.
Yeah, and like to me, whenever I watch them, like I watched Hateful Eight last night, and I want to say it's my favorite, like because that's how much I love. That one has to be in the top 3 because I watched that movie and I like shout shit at the screen. Like I love that movie. But man, I gotta say, Bastards is fucking fantastic, and it's one of his best. Right off the bat, the opening scene in this film,
dude, that's one of his best openings. That's one of the best opening scenes in a film. It was so like nerve-wracking and anxiety. I remember my first time watching that, I actually had anxiety from that opening scene. I was like, I felt like my chills coming. I was getting like anxious watching. I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Like, are they gonna get out? Are they gonna get him? Like, what's gonna like? I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know either.
Throughout the entire
favorite Tarantino film. That's a great pick because it's arguably mine too. But to me,
2.5 hours long of just fucking beauty. Like it just doesn't slow down.
It doesn't. No, it's arguably his best paced film. It never gets boring. And like I think what's great about it is it's able to stay fresh and use different languages. Like the opening scene, they're talking.
That's another thing for a film that's not even in English half the time too. To be that like 2/3 of it was in German or French, and then to have it be that captivating too, it really does show how great of a film it truly is.
Yeah, you could not have said it better myself, man. That is so exactly what this movie is. And even though, again, I love Aldo Rain, I love the Bear Jew, I love the entire cast of this movie is really, really good. And I do think though that this is really a return to the great Tarantino dialogue that we get in Pulp Fiction. Like there's so many great scenes. I always love the scene with Diane Kruger and they're in the bar and the guy doesn't do 3, does 3. Again, another scene where the first time I watched it, I didn't realize that you had to do this and this.
Yeah.
I know some people, they know that. I don't know how, but I never knew that. And I remember the people I watched it with, they were like, oh, shit. And I was like, what? And then all hell, bro. I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing until he said it. Until he said it later. She's like, he went like this. I mean, no, she said he went like this. We do it like this.
Yeah, just something as simple as that, but they're able to build so much. This has great tension throughout this entire movie, and like
throughout the whole thing, it's just you're on the edge of your seat, like what's gonna happen next? Like what's gonna happen next? I think That's also where he really got back to that too, like that. What's good? Like, what am I getting into? Like, where am I going now?
Yeah. The story in this one's fantastic, and I think that there's just so many great memorable scenes. Of course, the scene where they're eating the Danish or whatever it is with the cream, and Christoph Waltz, who's murdered this girl's entire family, sits down and starts talking to her, and she has to keep her composure throughout that entire conversation. And then when he leaves, she just lets it all out. Her emotion she's like, oh my God, like that was literally the number one person I hated throughout my entire life. Here he is talking to me, about a film.
And I have to sit here and have a conversation civilized with him. Like, dude.
It can't be easy. And like, I thought the actress gave a great performance there. And I think Christoph Waltz almost steals.
That is his best acting performance, in my opinion.
I'd agree completely.
Like, that made it, that, like, oh, dude, that was phenomenal. Like, he was so creepy and scary. And a lot of that they didn't tell. Like, that was one of the characters that they did not rehearse in front of the group. So, like, a lot of that, like, when they did those scenes were first time done scenes and first shot done scenes. That's, like, I think also, like, getting those real reaction from the actors and actresses being around him and seeing him do all these crazy maniacal things really did, like, pay off in the end, because they really do look petrified in some parts.
Yeah, and I think that gives the movie such an organic feel to it. Because if you do practice that stuff, us as adults, what we do is we think about it too much. Like, all right, how do I want to tackle this? How do I want to approach this? It's so much different when you just go out there and do it and don't think about it and just bam, do my job, and we'll see how that looks. And when it comes out organic like that, that's when the realism just drips off the fucking screen. And I think Christoph Waltz, it really does every single scene he's in, and he's fun in it too, man. That's a bingo.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah. The fucking when Diane Kruger's like, oh, I fucking hurt my foot climbing in a mountain, and he starts
laughing. Like, that was one of the scenes that they didn't rehearse, and like they got her real reaction on that, and you see her too. She's like, when you go back and rewatch that, she really is just like, the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and he fucking strangles the shit out of her, man. I loved those two in that movie. Man, Diane Kruger's pretty underrated. You probably heard we ain't in the prisoner taking business. We in the killing Nazi business, and cousin businesses are booming. Brad Pitt is a lot of fucking fun in this as Aldo Ray.
He is by far the funniest character in my opinion.
Orlami. Gorlami. Margarete.
Antonio Margarete. He goes, put some music behind it. Antonio Margarete.
Like, Orlami. You sure you're Italian? Yeah, Orlami. I love that. For some reason, that finale works so fucking good on, like, again, it's tension filled, it's serious, but it's so fucking fun where you're just like smiling the whole time. And
history in one of the craziest fashions and greatest ways to do it.
Yeah, they really did. And they made it, in a lot of ways, in this movie and in Django, they made history better. Like, they made it like, damn, isn't it a shame it didn't happen this way?
Yeah.
Every time I watch this movie and Django, I'm like, damn, it should have went down like this. Like, only in a perfect world would it have gone.
Yeah.
It's Bastards is great. I love when Eli Roth and the other guy, they look at each other and you see the bomb, like the dynamite in between them.
They realize.
Excuse me. I gotta get up.
Excuse me. Pardon.
What did you think of the character though? I think she's really the lead. I forget her damn name.
Shoshana?
Yes, Shoshana. What did you think of that whole arc? Because to me, that really is, and people don't really ever mention this, but that is really the main, like, because they always, the posters and everything, Brad Pitt.
The main story. He's not, I don't personally think, I watched this the other day in preparation for this, and I literally turned to my friend that I was watching with, and I don't think there is a main I think either I would say Shoshana, maybe Christoph Waltz is the lead. Like there really is no lead. There's so many different storylines that just end up coming in perfectly at the
They
end.
converge at the end.
So I would say I would put her up there towards the lead and the main story, if anything, because it really is like it takes place in her cinema at the end and like the whole finale and all that. But I don't think they're really like I really can't tell you who the lead role of that film is, honestly, because they focus on so many different characters and aspects and stories.
Yeah. And all different languages and all different tones, where some are funny, some are serious, some are intense, some are scary, some are bloody, some are fucking apeshit, batshit, and like for whatever reason, they all fucking work together. It's I would say it's his most grand film. Like it has all the fucking shit. This and Pulp Fiction are his most grand movies. Like they have every fucking thing you're looking for in that Quentin Tarantino, bundle.
Yeah.
And I eat this movie up. I watch this movie like almost every year. I watch
that movie probably 1 to 2 times a year without a doubt. It is one of my favorite films ever released. It is so entertaining from start to end. Like you just can't not enjoy a watch of that.
Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't feel long at all. Like it has a great pace to it, where I'm just like, oh, I'm interested in this. I know there's one random scene where Mike Myers shows up.
I remember the first time I watched that, it took me a minute to realize that was Mike Myers until they really zoomed in on his face and I saw his nose and his eyes and I was like, oh shit! I was like, is that Mike Myers?
Yeah. I was like, oh shit! I was like, fresh off the fucking Love Guru, bro. It's like, gone to a Tarantino movie. Good for you, bro. Like, doing better than me. Like, it's fucking random, but I always thought that was a weird cameo. And another thing too that I was saying,
to this day, that might be one of his weirdest plays cameos.
I don't. Yeah, and it's like he's barely in it. Like he's only in it for like
2 minutes, literally 2 minutes of the film.
And he doesn't have much dialogue or anything. It's just like almost like he wanted him to put him in there and just be like people to go, oh, that's Mike Myers. Like that's what I did. I was like, what the fuck? And it never come back to him at all. But I thought that was weird. I always loved the final line of this one where I think I just painted my masterpiece. In a lot of ways, and I could be thinking too much into this. I don't know if they mentioned this.
But I have a feeling I know what you're about to say. They didn't bring that, but I do agree with, and I have a feeling with what you're going to say.
Do you think that that's him meta saying, this is my masterpiece?
Yes, I do, in a sense.
I think so, too.
I think he was like, you guys doubted me, and I came back with what is going to be one of my biggest movies you'll ever see from me.
Yeah. I really think that. I think that was him just getting a little bit of a kind of middle finger maybe to care for Death Proof.
I think also when he does it the first time was him nudging at the past on all his past films when he first says it, when he does it the first time and he goes, you can't get in the car and you get hole without practice.
Yeah. Dude, isn't that so meta? Like I always thought that, but I don't know if he's confirmed it or
I don't know if he has either, but I definitely think and feel that same way as you for sure.
Yeah, and it would make perfect sense because in a lot of ways this is a masterpiece. I would say
without a doubt.
Yeah, like if I would consider maybe 5 or 6 of his movies are masterpieces, this is definitely one of them. This is one of my favorites. I don't know if it's number 1, but it's definitely top 3 area.
Without a doubt. It's in my top 2 to 3 for me.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Inglourious Basterds. To me, it's another like 11 out of 10 movie. So moving on though from that one, in 2012, this is probably his most controversial one because I know at the time dealing with the subject matter and even to this day dealing with the subject matter in this one. But again, another movie that it just absolutely blew me away the first time I saw it is none other than Django Unchained. Yes, starring the legendary Christoph Waltz, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx, Kerry Washington, Sam Jackson. I mean, an amazing cast in this one. And to me, though, I see this really as a 2-actor show, and that's why I love it. To me, it's Christoph and Leo. I think those two together carry this fucking movie all the way to
I agree with you until I recently rewatched Samuel Jackson, bro.
At the demented Uncle Ben.
Dude, Samuel Jackson fucking killed that too,
He
honestly.
did.
Everyone really did kill that, but Leonardo DiCaprio has one of the best acting scenes, arguably hands down, in the history of
Dinner
acting
scene.
in that movie.
Yeah. It's amazing. That dinner scene is so good. I was watching it last night. I did this in prep. I watched this and Hateful Eight back to back. The
There have
dinner
been a lot of lies set around this dinner table here tonight.
can believe. I only ever had one question. Why don't he kill us? Old Ben would shave my daddy's neck on that throat for over 50 years. If I was old Ben, I would have cut my daddy's throat. Like, I think that scene is just, it's almost like Leonardo DiCaprio. And this is another thing with me. Another actor like Kurt Russell, who had always, up until this point, kind of been the squeaky clean guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like Titanic and Aviator and Catch Me If You Can. Like, these were movies that, you know, the character different in those movies, but Leo was Leo. This movie, I was like, Leo is a fantastic fucking villain in this, man. And some Arthur just comments. What a great fucking villain is Calvin Candy, man.
They bring it up in the documentary. He had a really hard time at the beginning of the movie. Like, he could not do anything correctly in the beginning of filming until one day Samuel Jackson and Jamie Foxx turned him and were just like, yo, this is just another fucking Thursday. Get your shit together and start working. And he came in, and they said he came in the next day, and Jamie Foxx said, yo, what's good? And he just looked at him and walked right into his thing, and they didn't talk throughout the film, and that's how they finished it. It worked out perfectly.
It did. It really did, because I think he's great. And I love Christoph, too. I know Christoph won Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars.
Yep.
He's fantastic as Dr. Schultz, and just a really lovable, likable, good guy who sticks his neck out for Django, Jamie Foxx's character. And to me, it's the first half of this movie, it's just them picking off racist bastards. And they have the whole Ku Klux Klan, and they somehow make that funny. Where I remember I was like, wow.
Jonah Hill, that's actually might be one of his craziest cameos too. The Jonah Hill cameo. Jonah Hill just coming out of nowhere.
I love when they're all like, your stupid fucking wife cut the holes in these things. And he's like, don't you talk about my wife like that? Like all these hick guys in the fucking bed sheets and whatnot. And I love how they get them. And it's a lot of fun.
They did a great job with that. I do one thing that I noticed that when I was watching was Smitty Bacall gang.
Yeah.
The one of the captains, one of the guys, Crazy Coons. He is Captain Christopher Walken's character in Pulp Fiction's great grandpa. And it's the same Michael Fassbender and Tim Mosberry from Hateful Eight. They're great grandfathers.
Oswaldo Mosberry.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, that's so crazy. I didn't fucking know that either. See, yeah, Billy knows the universe a lot better than I, but I do think this is a really, really good movie. And another one where I will say, visually, this is another really stunning movie. Like, I love the scene where they shoot the one guy and he's on a horse.
Oh, and he blows off and it
splatters across these white flowers. Really a spectacle. I don't know why, but that shot really, like, great cinematography. Mm-hmm. And crazy gore in this movie. The gore in this movie is almost like Dawn of the Dead. Crazy splatters and people getting shot.
The house scene, that's crazy. That scene was literally like a straight out of the house. Looked like a Nightmare on Elm Street house at the end of it.
It did, man, and all this crazy, like, using the guy's body as a shield and shooting people. Yep. And I think this movie, again, it's a fun, like, adventure movie. Once you get past, like, the first half of it it's hard to watch some of it, like, because it just all the overtly racist shit in it. But again, that was his, commentary on the era at that time. The world was a horrible racist place at that time. You can't hold back from that.
12 Years a Slave came out the same the year after or something like that too. Like, he was just doing it in the Tarantino way that he always does, and was rewriting it in a different fashion.
Yeah, and I
But
know
it's
that
something that he felt like he had to
like.
bring up and touch light on, and I think he did it phenomenally.
I agree with you, and I think that I know that like Spike Lee was offended by the film, wanted nothing to see it or anything like that. But like, I do think that he
I
did.
don't think
depict it
I
in a
don't
bad
think
way.
people with as big as a voice of like Samuel Jackson and Jamie Foxx would have done the film if they had the same viewpoints too. You know, like if they were offended by it, they definitely would not have accepted those roles in the movie. And they're very big voices in society today. So I don't
Yeah,
think that I think it's a little over speculated at times.
definitely, I agree with that, and I think that in a lot of ways, it's funny that Leonardo DiCaprio was the one that seemed the most uncomfortable, or as everybody else was like, "Bitch, this is a Thursday. Like, come on, you got to come in and kill it like always."
Yeah.
And I do think that just that dinner scene is iconic. The fun ending.
One of the best acting scenes.
It's a fun. I'll be honest. I like the second half better. Like once they introduce Calvin Candy, I love the movie from there on out. But
Yeah.
the first half, it's good. But Calvin Candy on to me.
Yeah.
I think
I love the scene, and I love when Kristoff kills Calvin with his little fucking dude. It was so out of nowhere at that time. You were just like, "Whoa, wait, what?" And he just pulled that shit out and just capped him real fast.
And the idea that the film could have ended there theoretically because all he had to do was just let him walk away. And he was like, to you, I say.
And then it goes on for another 40 minutes, and you're just not bored of it. Still, you're just like, "Wait, this is amazing. This needs to keep going."
All over a handshake, all over.
I thought it was gonna. My first time seeing it, I thought it was gonna end there.
Yeah, and like it would have been okay, whatever, whatever. Calvin Candy, I guess, got the better of them, but no, Christoph Waltz was like, "No, I'm not shaking your hand. I'll kill you before I shake your hand." Bam, shoot again to the white flower, the little corsage on him, and fucking Sam Jackson, Calvin, crying, holding him and weeping like a
freaks out, dude.
Sam Jackson is great in this, man. He's basically the most racist character in the film, but he's racist.
He is the most evil character in that film, though, kid.
And he's in a weird way the smartest because he knows.
Goes down the cane at the end, and you find out he's not a cripple. He's just standing normal at the end of the movie the whole time. He's shaking and is crippled on a cane. You find out this whole time he's just been faking it to get around the house and shit, to get away with doing nothing. Like, he is the most evil character in the movie.
Oh God, his performance is really underrated. Like not a lot of people mention it, and I can understand because Christoph and Leo are all this. What did you think of this? I know I've talked to JP about this, and I don't know what your thoughts are. What do you think of Jamie Foxx's performance? I love Jamie Foxx as an actor, and I know you love this movie. He was a great Ray Charles. He was almost better Ray Charles than Ray Charles. And
he was Ray Charles, which is crazy.
That's like a top 10 acting performance of all time. What did you think of his performance in this one? Because I know some people it's kind of on the
I don't think he carried the movie, but I think he was a great fit for that role. I think he did very well with it. I really enjoyed him in that film. I found out that he rides, like, that was his own horse used in the film. So like he rode, like, he's had background of riding horses throughout his like life and his career. That's one thing that he's very like big on and stuff. I didn't know. I just found that out. So like it is cool. Like I think he fit the role very well. I don't think it was his best acting performance wise, but I think Jamie Lee Foxx was a super badass Django.
Yeah, I'd agree with that completely. I always, part of me wonders, like, maybe if Will Smith was a little bit younger, would he have been possibly a better fit for this movie?
I personally don't think so. I don't think Will Smith would have done a better job personally than Jamie Foxx in my eyes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It could be.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I always speculate about. And I always know there's a bunch of like Tarantino where someone was going to play a role and somebody did. Not with this one. I know Stallone. I don't know if you ever knew this. Sylvester Stallone was originally the choice to play Stuntman Mike. I think that would have been fucking crazy. Like thinking
that would have been crazy, but I think he needed Kurt Russell for that.
I agree, but like,
Because I don't know if Sylvester Stallone in a Tarantino dialogue aspect would have fit well.
I agree, but like, imagine, hey, yo, you want to get in my car? Like, I would fucking die. I would be like, yo, Sly, killing people with his car, man. Apparently, Sly declined. He was like, I don't want to do this. I don't like the sound of the movie, and that's why they got Kurt Russell. That's apparently he was going to be signed on just because it was Tarantino, and then at the last minute was like, wait a minute, I don't like the script. I don't want to do a horror movie where I'm a murderer with a car.
Or just murdering women the entire time.
Kurt Russell was the better
one. He's like, I love women. I can't do
this. Yo, Adrian, I'm not cheating on you. I just want to drive this car and go to the bar. What are you doing? I would fucking die. Like in a parallel world, I want to see Death Proof with Sly. Like just me. But I feel like it would be mad funny. But yeah, I definitely I'm a big fan of Django. I think this is
personally my top three.
Top three for you? Okay, I don't think this would be in my top three. This would be, I don't know, definitely not top three though. I love this movie, but I definitely like the second half better.
I feel that.
Yeah, the first half is still great though. It's a great movie for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Django, really good one, and then coming after that is film number 8, and rightfully titled The Hateful Eight, 2015. This one might be my favorite. It's either this or Bastards or Dogs. It's like one of those, maybe even Pulp and Death Proof are up there.
This has come up a couple of times, this title in conversation. I've been waiting to say this. This is not my personal, top 3 Tarantino films, but this is my favorite shot Tarantino film. The filming in that and the cinematography in that movie is by far my favorite. The 70 millimeter was incredible. The scene with the horses where they're riding through the snow is just one of my favorite shots. Like everything about that movie was just filmed so perfectly that it makes me love it so much more.
It has that old school, like you said, the 70 millimeter and the overture in the beginning. And there is, I noticed, I watched it last night. There's very few zooms in this movie. Whereas in Django, you get a ton of almost like crazy zooms. Like when you first Calvin Candy, zoom to his face, the smile, and like crazy. This movie, a lot is back.
Slow fade-ins and fade-outs. I feel like there's a lot.
And even with Jennifer Jason Leigh, they do an entire
ring around.
And I was like, damn, like it really. I agree with you. It from a directing standpoint and what he's able to do with the cinematography and the old school feel. This doesn't feel like a movie that came out in 2015. It doesn't. No. I don't know what era I'd say, but it doesn't feel current at all. It really does feel old school. Neon Black saw it in the theater 70 millimeter. I'm jealous. I didn't see this.
My friend Chris saw it in theaters on 70 millimeters. He told me they had an intermission and everything.
Oh my! See, I'm so jealous. Like
I was so jealous when he told me that. I was like, damn, I didn't get to see that one in theaters.
Me neither. That would be the one. Believe it or not, I've only seen one of these in the theater. I saw the last one we'll talk about.
I saw Django in theaters, and I saw Once Upon a Time in theaters. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I hope. I know the theaters scene is pretty dead right now, but I hope if they do bring it back, like maybe show some of Tarantino's movies. Like I would
the whole thing of Tarantino movies. I would be out there. Yeah, 100%.
Like if they did show this in 70 millimeter, man, I would. I would pick you up. And we'll go. Like, we'll go have a fun ass movie night. But yeah, I think Hateful Eight is just. Again, it's one of those movies where I love all the characters. I especially love the setting. It's just, it has it all again. Again, bringing Kurt Russell back, Sam Jackson, bringing an up-and-comer like a Walton Goggins in this movie and just giving him a huge role, a bigger role than he's ever had in anything else before since. He nails it. Jennifer Jason Leigh, another person, squeaky clean coming into this movie. Turned her completely like black, sour.
She had no teeth in the beginning. She had no teeth the whole movie, nothing. They really, they recreated her image completely, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and I believe she was the only one in this movie nominated for an Academy Award and that's incredible in its own right because everybody's great in this movie. But it's really interesting to see her go there.
Yeah,
And I know that she learned to play the guitar just for that
all
scene.
for it. Yep, just for that
She
scene.
learned
She
the
learned
guitar.
throughout the days of filming it.
That can't be easy, man. Learn the guitar and sing this song, and like and also you have to play this scoundrel bitch, and she knocks it out of the park. I love all the characters in this. I think they're all fun. I love Tim Roth as the
I
obnoxious.
think yep, I think every character fit perfect. Like every actor fit every actor and the one actress, well, one of few actresses fit perfect in their character.
I agree. And Joe Gage is Michael Madsen, and
Yep.
Bruce Dern is the quiet old man, and then that all of a sudden escalates out of nowhere. And I will say, I know a lot of people that when they first see this one, they find it a little slow, and I could see that.
I think it's just
I
because
rewatched
it's
a
the
bunch.
first time in since Reservoir Dogs that he went back to a film that was shot in one location.
Yes,
Because everyone got used to Tarantino just flying all over to different places, like not literally, but like jumping all over to different places throughout his films and like going all over the place, that they forgot that he started with a film that was shot in a diner in a warehouse.
Yeah.
And he shot this entire film in a haberdashery. And it was, I get where they're coming from, but I personally love the film and I was entertained throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, I was too. And I think that you're right. He does go back to the roots with this one. And this one is more about the characters, the dialogue, the filmmaking.
It was definitely heavy dialogue based, definitely heavy character based, like, and also it has you thinking too the whole time, like, who did it? Who
poisoned the coffee? Who's in on it? Are they all with her? Are they not with her? And I love the just John Ruth. When the hangman gets you, you hang. And I love the Lincoln letter. Do you still got it?
Mm-hmm.
That's old Mary Todd calling for. I don't know why it's so.
I love too when he's talking about how mean bastards were meant to hang.
Yeah.
When not all.
And all the names of the places, Red Rock, Red Rock. There's 15 son of a bitches. And I remember when I watched this movie for the first time too, I had no fucking clue Channing Tatum was in it.
Oh, dude, that's.
I was fucking mind blown, dude, when I saw it. I was like, Channing Tatum, what the fuck? Like,
and he honestly killed it.
Killed it.
All time that he was in the movie, he did a even with like the accent that he threw on for it too was like pretty good. Like he did like I don't know much about his career to be honest, but like from like seeing him go from something like 21 Jump Street, stupid, like dumb, funny guy doing something like this was really cool.
Yeah, it is. And I think he's able to do that with a lot of different actors where it's like, oh, they see you as this one thing, but I see you as so much more. And I think giving an actor like that a shot at a role like this, I think that speaks a lot to Tarantino.
Like,
saying, hey, I'm not going to cast you what they want you to cast in. I'm going to cast you and make you something completely different, a new dimension of yourself as an actor. That's not easy to do, man, but he nails it.
Before Pulp Fiction, name a time you saw John Travolta ever pick up a gun in a movie.
Never. I mean, not that I can remember. And then, after that, you have Broken Arrow and Con Air and movies where John Travolta,
Face Off, and he ended up being in The Punisher eventually and stuff like that. Like he became this guy that was like carrying a gun in every movie. Eventually, he got that role. Like he literally turned him into that guy.
Yeah, from fucking Staying Alive and Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever.
And then you see that movie and you're like, whoa, now there's a whole different layer of John Travolta we can explore.
And I think it's kind of cool because like that's how kind of what he did for Channing Tatum to me, because like I wasn't really familiar with him until besides 21 Jump Street until this, and now like if I saw he was doing another role like this, I would definitely be interested in seeing the film.
Me too. You give credibility to somebody who's known as the funny guy. That's again, with Jonah Hill, like, and Tarantino, granted, is not the guy that had done that with Jonah Hill. I mean, I would say that was Scorsese. But and even Moneyball, I think Moneyball is a great Jonah Hill performance where he was not funny, he was more serious. It's interesting to see those actors take that step from funny to dead serious, and you do buy it completely. I love this entire movie. Aiden was mentioning the score of the film. I love the opening.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
Isn't it? Like, it's just so goddamn good. Well, cut my legs off and call me shorty. This dialogue in Hateful Eight is so great. Dude, I agree. I think it's really some of the most memorable fucking Tarantino scenes.
Dialogue, yeah.
It has it all. It really does. One of those movies.
Eating the stew, talking, just all throughout. Like, the dialogue really, in my opinion, is what carries that film for me.
Yeah, and I love the Channing Tatum throws out the gun and he goes, throw out your other pistol. And he goes, I ain't got another pistol. Well, you better ship one out your ass or else we're going to kill this bitch.
I love that, dude.
In this.
He goes, you better ship one out your ass.
And this may be Minnie's haberdashery, but that is Sweet Dave's chair. Like, I just love the entire, like, when he's like walking around and how the hell did Minnie leave this morning, but she made this stew. It's just fucking, I don't know. And the shit with the door, like, they have to nail the door shut.
Nail the door in. Like, honestly, I felt their pain like, I don't know why, but I could just feel how annoying that must have been every single time he'll just having to nail that door up over and over again from it just fucking flying open. I just felt that every time they had to do it. I don't know why. I was just like, dude, that has to suck.
Yeah, for real. And the one guy's like, fucking, he's like, don't make me go out there again.
Yeah, when he comes back, he's like, I'm never fucking doing that again. I would die out there. Then my favorite part, I was gonna say they draw straws and Obi has to go back out again. I never realized that till the other day.
It's fucking classic.
That poor soul, dude. That man just got shit on the entire movie. He ends up doing nothing wrong and gets poisoned for no reason. He's one of the characters that literally just did nothing wrong the entire film and just got shit.
Yeah, he did. Opie was too good for this man, and he just got shit on.
Froze to death. Fucking comes back in, drinks poison coffee.
Drinks poison coffee, warm up,
and that's it.
That's it. Thank you for coming, Opie. But dude, yeah, I think again, all these actors do a wonderful job. I do like the reveal of when you find out it is all of them, and that Channing Tatum was in the basement the entire movie. I like that's like the only chronological thing they do. They show you what happened.
Yeah, where they just go back and show you them coming into the haberdashery and how they took it all over. I do like that. I think that fit in perfect, and they needed to do it like that.
Yeah, and it felt like Bastards, where how they built the tension, because once that scene starts, you're like, all right, now we're just waiting for these people to be killed.
Yeah.
When is the first shot going to be fired? And like they really work you like, oh, these I don't like candy canes, and they're like, oh, it's the sweetest coffee. Oh, it's the sweetest, and like they really go on and on. I'm just like sitting there like, oh my god, when is this
going to happen, yo? And then, bro. He just caps Minnie in the face to start that off, dude. He literally just blows her square in the fucking eyes and then turns to whoever was standing next to him, gets that guy. What's his name? Oswaldo shoots the dude, the lady off the ladder with the dummy man. The dummy man just flies everywhere. Joe Gage, Michael Madsen takes down Zoe Bell. She's too, dude. You could see. That's I think one of my favorite scenes in the movie too, because like that's the only time in that film where like you could see he actually felt like a little remorse.
Yeah,
and they played like when he killed her, he had remorse, and then he goes outside and you notice he kills the other dude with zero hesitation at all, and he has no problem killing it, but for some reason he had remorse killing her because he felt like a connection, and I like that.
Yeah, I like that too, and it was more like because she was nice to them, and these were people that were totally innocent, and
they just happened to be in the right place. I mean, the wrong place at the right time. Like they just happened to be there for them to show up.
Yeah, and I did love the David Hess, Wes Craven I mentioned earlier. They play the song from Last House on the Left when he goes to kill the other guy in the outhouse. And I didn't do anything. I barely know these people. Boom, you know. And a part of me was like, yo, that's a nod to Last House on the Left.
That's
How can
right.
I not love this movie and have this, you know, as one of my favorite Tarantino films? It's just it has it all for me. And I think I really like the finale. I like the dialogue between Walton Goggins and Jennifer Jason Leigh and Sam Jackson. I think Walton Goggins was fantastic in this.
Oh,
For me.
he killed it. I also really liked him, and I liked him.
Right.
I liked his like his role in I think he did a very good job in Django too. When he goes,
Yeah.
I'm walking in the moonlight with you. And Jamie Foxx says, "Oh, you want to?" That's also one thing. I think Jamie Foxx hit those lines. I don't think when we were that conversation went up. I'm sorry to go back to that now.
That's
But
okay.
Jamie Foxx hit those one-liners perfectly throughout the movie. That like he needed to be the guy that did that. I don't think like when we were thinking of another actor like when he says you want to hold my hand, like I can't picture someone like Will Smith or like someone else like around that like era saying anything like that and making it be like badass and cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna next time I watch Django, I promise I'm gonna look for Jamie Foxx's performance a little bit more because I don't know. I always feel like like Leo and Christoph almost overshadow him a little
I
bit.
agree with you. I agree with you on that, but I think he hits it perfect in a
Yeah.
weird way.
I love the actors, so I'm sure it's there. I just like I don't know. When I first saw it, I was like, man, like for a movie called Django Unchained, I felt so much like it was more Calvin Candy's show and Christoph Waltz, and you know they do most of the talking. But again, that's really the intention.
Yeah, because at the time period though, like they really like what was Django really gonna say at that time period? You know what I mean? He would have been fucking shot in the head in a minute.
Exactly. No, you're right though. You're right, and that's exactly the
Character couldn't say anything, so like I think that's why like he had that like ominous to feel. But
yeah.
anyway, I'm sorry to get off topic again. Back to
That's okay. No, that's fine. But Hateful Eight, you said you wouldn't rank this in your
I
top.
wouldn't put
Like,
it in my top three. I wouldn't put it in my top three, but I definitely probably have it. I think it's in my top five, like definitely above Reservoir Dogs, honestly, for me.
it's like
I
his
think
bigger scope Reservoir Dogs.
it's like Reservoir Dogs with the budget that he needed for
Yes,
it.
it
Not
is.
needed for it because we talked about how Reservoir Dogs is a phenomenal fucking film, but it's like it's Reservoir Dogs with now Tarantino budget.
Yeah, and a filmmaker that had really learned a lot over the years too. You
Yeah,
see
that's why like I think it's definitely my favorite filmed wise. I would put it in like the 5 to 6 range.
okay, so Hateful Eight, I would probably say it's my favorite. If I had to pick,
I,
I'll say
I
Hateful Eight.
love it. I respect it.
Yeah, it's a great one. But that brings us to date the last of his filmography. I know he says he's going to make 10, so there should be one more coming. But as of filming date of this, November 5th, 2020, this is the last film of his filmography right now. He himself has called it his magnum opus. It is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm interested to talk about this one with you because I don't think we've talked about this at all. What are your
We
thoughts, man?
really haven't. I liked it the first time I saw it a lot,
Mhm.
actually. I really did enjoy it the first time. I saw it in theaters and I really enjoyed it. I rewatched it again recently. I enjoyed it more the second time, personally.
I agree with that completely. It
I
got better
enjoyed
the
it
second
more
time.
the second time. I really do personally stand by that. It really like from Brad Pitt's character just being just that badass dude throughout that badass stuntman throughout the movie to him clowning Bruce Lee to Leo being that like Leo being kind of I feel like that's how Leo would have been in that time period. Like he just played himself in that era in a weird way. Like I
Yeah,
feel like I literally could have been Leonardo DiCaprio in that 60s time frame.
it could have been. That's a good. I didn't even think of that, but yeah, that's
Like
right.
that really like his character really I feel like he got to like have fun and just be like how he is on like a behind the scenes basis.
Yeah, yeah, it is. That's a good point. I didn't never even thought of that, but that's true.
And then obviously Margot Robbie just being Margot Robbie. Like she doesn't have to do anything. She just has to stand there.
Yeah, and really, that's all she really does. Like when I first heard she was casted, I was like, oh, Margot Robbie's going to be doing Tarantino dialogue. That doesn't really happen in this fucking movie. She maybe has a few lines throughout this whole thing. A lot of it is just watch how beautiful she is, watch how much she looks like Sharon Tate, watch her walk around town, buy a book, and go see a movie. That's really her bulk of this movie.
Yeah.
For some reason, it works. It really works.
And I also might even go on and say, like I said, Bastards is in my top 2. I think I like how he rewrote history more in this one than I did in Bastards.
Yeah, I like the ending with Manson stuff. That's definitely.
I like how the Manson stuff like came in and tied into that, and he canceled out the Manson family murders. Like, I think that was kind of cool. Like, I really fucked with that.
I love I'm the devil and I'm here to do the devil's business. Nah, it was something dumber than that.
Yeah.
Like, I love he's like stoned on the cigarette acid. I love
he smokes the acid cigarette and it just kicks in right when these people are coming in.
Yeah.
It's fucking phenomenal. It's so funny.
I think this is great. And like, I agree with you completely, by the way. First time I saw it, I said, that was solid, good. I didn't walk away out of the theater and go, masterpiece or whatever. And
I wasn't like, oh, this is one of my top Tarantino films, but I was like, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it. I had a good time seeing it. The second time I watched it, I was like, I really, really like this movie, dude. Like, I really fuck with this movie.
It grows on you. It really does grow on you. And I would say it grows on you more than any of his other movies. Because, like, I pretty much feel the way I feel after I watch those movies. But this one, man, it grows. Every time I watch it, I like it a little bit better.
I agree with you, too, on that, actually. Like, that and although I only saw it recently, each time I've watched it since, that and Jackie Brown have grown on me more.
Yeah. And it's incredible how that can happen where you can go, all right, solid movie. And then, wait a minute, is this a masterpiece? Like it's crazy to make you do that after, you know.
I'm probably going to watch Once Upon a Time tonight now. Honestly, yeah. I feel like I'm just going to enjoy it again just that much more.
Yeah, and I thought it's funny. The first time I watched this, I felt Brad Pitt stole this movie, and I totally felt that way. However, upon second watch, I was like, wait a minute, what's Leo doing over here? Like, I thought, whereas Brad Pitt's character was the most likable character in the film.
Yes, he's just that badass, likable. You're just like, oh, like, he's the shit. Like, he's just the shit.
Yeah, yeah. And but Leo is going through, like, a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And trying to find himself, and when he's in the trailer, damn it, you fucked up, and he's screaming in the scene with him and the little girl, and she's giving him pointers, and
then she goes, "That's the best acting I've ever seen in my life," and he starts
crying, and I think Leo was really fun as kind of like the pussy best friend in this.
Right.
Like, he honestly, for me, the second time I watched it, almost stole it. Rick fucking Dalton is a great Leonardo DiCaprio performance.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think, and that's almost a subtextual, that's what he would be like going through the midlife crisis at that time in the movie.
Yeah, I feel like in that time period, that's how he would have handled his, like, if he had a midlife crisis, that's how he would have handled it in his career. Like, he would have been like, because he was one of the top guys, and then if they started casting him as a fucking bad guy, like a heel in TV shows, like, you know, you're starting to go down the shitter, and like, I feel like that's how he would have handled that whole situation at the time, and I feel like that's why he played that character so well and embarked in that so greatly. Like, he just really ate all of that up.
He did.
He got to be like, he was like, how would I react back at this time? I feel like he probably went and did that, honestly. He probably did do that. Like, how would I react to this at this time? And was like, I'm going to do me. He's like, I'm an actor playing, you're an actor playing an actor. So I feel like you kind of got to just lean towards how you are as yourself.
Yeah, you got to put yourself into it and then dial yourself up to 11. And that's what I think he does. It's really himself dialed up to 11. And I love I went to Italy and became a film star, and all the posters. And I know you're an Easter egg guy. You see one of the posters says Antonio Margheriti on it. Yep. I saw that in the theater, and I was like, Antonio Margheriti. We saw it with Kyle Allen, and Margheriti. We saw that, and of course the scene with Margot Qualley Margaret Qualley in the car, where she goes, "So what are you?" And I'm a stuntman. That's death proof. Like, there's so many of those nods in there, and I noticed them as I was watching this film, like when I saw it in the theater. And just to me, because this was the only one I saw in the theater, everybody's reaction to the ending and just laughing, and when Leo
laughing together and being
like Leo coming out with the flamethrower, everybody laughing, having a good time with the movie. Like, this is what the movie should be. It's everybody laughing, enjoying, having a good time watching a movie. And like, I was like, man, this is so cool. I'm glad and fortunate to have had this experience watching a Tarantino film in the theater, because I never had that dynamic before in the movie.
It really was great. It really was a great watch in theaters. And honestly, I'm glad I enjoyed it more the second time, but I kind of wish I enjoyed it as much as I did the second time when I was in theaters the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I would have just, it would have been that much greater of a time.
It would have.
With you.
Yeah, I like though that it's grown on me, because when I first saw it, I was like, okay, there's not really a big plot here. It's really just the day in the lives of those three people, you know.
And you realize that, like, like it's really just about how he's going on his downfall of his career, and like he doesn't know what to do about it, and like he's just trying to figure out how to solve it.
Yeah, and the style, the sets in this, like, to make it feel like that era, late '60s, and like, I don't know, it really, really works. I love Roman Polanski. God, the Rosemary's Baby is my fucking neighbor. I thought that was great, man.
I love when he did when they show the trailers of all his films throughout, and one of them is the one of him in the playing the kind of like in Glorious Bastards in a sense, and then he comes in and he goes, "Anybody order fried sauerkraut?" It's the first scene with the flamethrower, and he just throws everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody ordered fried sauerkraut, and he just lights up the room.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm like, wow, Leo's fucking nuts, man. But yeah, and this I don't know, it's just something about it. It's a very easygoing film. It's a long film, but again, it's another one that doesn't feel that long to me. Like,
it really doesn't.
Upon rewatch, it feels
way quicker. Yeah, I agree with you. Like I feel like everything feels a little longer in theaters though too, because you're sitting on like a theater chair and everything too. You know what I mean? But I think, rewatching it again, it really did, like, it didn't feel as long. I feel like he's so great with doing that though, because he just packs so much in, so much dialogue, so much everything in, that you forget how much time. Like, you're like, wait, that was a 2.5 hour movie, really?
Yeah.
And I mean, done, you're like, wait, what time? You're like, what time is it? And you look at your phone and your clock. It's already like 3 hours later. You're like, Jesus Christ, how'd that happen?
Yeah. Just, I blinked and I missed this. Like, what the hell? Was I drugged? Like, what?
Also, when I watch, like, especially after watching his films now so many times too, like, I rewatch just to catch things that, like, I didn't see. So, like, I'll be that asshole that, like, rewinds like every like 5 minutes, because I'll be like, wait, did I catch that last time? Did I see that? Like, when I was rewatching Glorious Bastards the other day, I noticed in the opening scene there is a fly that comes in and lands on the glass of milk when he's drinking it, and just like crawls up the side of the milk towards, like, when he's having the dialogue with the French guy in the beginning. And like, I don't know, like, I would have never picked up on that if I haven't watched this movie like 100 times in my lifetime. But I was just like, I was like, I got the podcast coming up, we got to do this. I was like, I got to rewatch Bastards, because this is the only one I haven't watched yet this year. And I was just like really focusing on the detail.
Yeah, right.
And I just watched that fly over. I don't know why that caught my eye, but I had to bring that up too.
I never fucking noticed that. Next time
you rewatch it, watch the glass of milk, the whole scene. It's more towards like the end of the scene when it starts getting really intense. You'll just see a fly come in and just like land in front of the glass, and then it climbs up the glass.
Dude, wow. I never fucking noticed that, but I will be sure.
That's how bored I was this week. I was watching for that minor of Easter eggs.
Focus, dude. You were locked the fuck in. I admire. Hey, man, I really do appreciate you doing your proverbial homework before coming on to this, because like, that's really cool. I try to show prep. Grant, I knew I wasn't gonna be able to watch 9 films. So I was like, I'm just gonna watch a couple, just get my.
Definitely. There was a few that like I've seen so many times that I didn't bother watching. Like,
I don't have to.
Stuff like that I didn't have to watch.
I've seen Reservoir Dogs to death. I don't have to.
Yeah, Yeah, like Reservoir Dogs, I didn't have to rewatch. Django, I didn't have to rewatch and stuff like that. But I was just like, it's that one time. I was like, it's that one time a year that for me to watch Inglourious Bastards, I might as well do it this week. Like, it's the only week that fits.
It's perfect, bro. So yeah, I love that one. It seemed like everybody in the comments really likes that one.
Yeah.
Eaton says Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was fantastic. The ending might be the best thing ever. I love the ending too. It's a lot of fun.
The ending, that was my favorite twist on history, honestly.
Yeah, he does. Margot had the nasty ass feet in the theater, dude. Yeah, that.
Dude, she had those 30 feet.
Yeah, they pretty much were covered in dirt. I was like, what the fuck? Like that had to have been done on purpose. He must have been like, you're nice or whatever. I'm gonna cover him in dirt or whatever. That Tarantino's weird like that. But all right, so we're about the 2-hour mark. I guess this would be a fun way to close the show. I don't have this written down, so we can just go off the cuff. Do you want to give a quick ranking before we go off the air? Quick ranking of QT's 9 films.
Okay.
Oh, he's prepared. See, I'm not. I don't have a list.
I'm not prepared. I'm gonna do this. I'm probably gonna people are gonna rewatch this and be like, wait, he said this was one of his favorites before, and now he's lying because I contradicted myself throughout the whole thing. But right now, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go off the top of my head. Number one, I gotta go with Kill Bill, obviously.
Okay.
I'll say Bastards at 2. I'll put Django at 3.
This is where it gets hard. Oh, and everybody in the comments, you're free to rank if you want to. I don't
join in on this right now because this might take a minute. I'll do Pulp Fiction at 4. Hateful Eight at 5. I'm gonna go on a limb and honestly do Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at 6.
Okay. Arthur said, great show, great. Arthur loved you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Realistically, I have to do Reservoir Dogs at 7, Jackie Brown 8, and although it's my last ranking on his list, like I said, his films rank so heavily on my list. Death Proof I would have to rank at his last, but I didn't not enjoy anything in that film. I just would have my favorite director of his top ranking films. I would have to put that one on the bottom personally.
Yeah, and it's incredible to say that all of his movies we either like to love. Like that's fucking crazy.
Yes.
Like not even Stanley Kubrick. There are some Stanley Kubrick. I don't really like the first couple movies he made. Killer's Kiss, Fear and Desire. I don't like those. Tarantino.
I love every single one of his films that he puts out. Like it's the same with like Scorsese. I'm a big fan of. There's films that like he has that I love. There's some that I'm like, like all right, whatever. But like every single Tarantino movie I've watched in my lifetime, I have never been disappointed in.
Yeah, and he definitely, I would say, best track record. Like I think best.
I personally.
If you were to line up against any other movies, I would say his is probably the most consistent. So I'll go Hateful Eight at number 1. I love Hateful Eight. I'm gonna go with you at number 2. I'm gonna go Bastards. Number 3, I'm gonna go Pulp.
Okay.
4, I'm gonna go Dogs.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to bat for this one. I know I'll get shit for it. Death Proof at number 5. I love Death Proof.
I love it. I respect it.
I'm going to bat for that one.
That's you. That movie was like your Tarantino film, so like,
it was.
I feel like it has to be up there for you.
Yeah, like seeing fucking Kurt Russell as a fucking slasher villain. Like when I first saw the movie, I was in awe. I was like, wow, like this is fucking crazy, dude. Kill Bill at 6. I love Kill Bill. Django. See, Django falls a little bit down the list because I put the other one over. But Django at 7. Then Once Upon a Time, and then I'm going to go with Jackie Brown at the bottom. But again, all movies I fucking love, and all movies that I revisit and rewatch pretty much every year, if not more.
Honestly, like I truly watch like most of his filmography within years, like within every year.
Yeah, me too.
I just love like even shit like True Romance and Natural Born Killers and like Dusk Till Dawn. Like I love
that one too.
It's all like all of it because they all tie into each other. Like they all tie into each other too. Still, so like it's great to watch. Like it's like a series. It's literally like a series. So you might as well restart it eventually.
Yeah, yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. I know we'll probably have to wait quite a few years to see what the 10th and final Tarantino, because he always says he wants to make 10.
Yep,
So
he's always
it'll
said 10. I think he's gonna do 10, and then I think one would be really cool if he teamed up with like a graphic artist, novelist, and did like graphic novels, or even if he just wrote books, something like that would be really cool to see him do in the future. Like, cause like, he's not gonna be able to like I think he's gonna stick to his word and do his 10 films, but he's not gonna be able to stop writing films and writing stories and dialogues. That's literally what he does best in life. So like we'll see more from him definitely before like throughout our lives too. It might not be on the big screen, but we'll definitely see more Tarantino.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I know he said he had theater. He wanted to do like theater plays, maybe like write theater plays.
That would be, dude. His movies are like literally theater and like opera, and like they're like the dialogues are just so there that you could put Pulp Fiction on a fucking on Broadway right now, and it would do amazing. They wouldn't have to change it up at all either too. Like you wouldn't have to change any dialogue or any, like it would be phenomenal.
Yeah, that's
dirty graphic novel full of dirty feet. That's amazing.
I would not be fucking shocked to see that.
Not even a graphic novel. He's just gonna take a photo still shot of every scene and film that he's done of like feet and just make a book of photos of just the feet.
Book of feet. There's Wiki Feet, and then there's Tarantino's feet. Volume 1. Aiden has a great ranking. Love that ranking, man. But yeah, I guess we'll end the show here. Went about a good 2 hours talking all things QT. I want to thank everybody that joined us. There were so many people that popped in and out of this thing. Literally too many of you to thank, but thank you all. If you were joined and had a great time, appreciate you all watching along with me and Billy talking all things QT. Billy, thank you so much for coming on. This was a really fun show and a fun conversation to have.
I want to thank you for having me, man. I enjoyed every second of this. Literally like a Tarantino film. You didn't even realize this was 2 hours, dude. Like I literally felt like we just started this, but I'm very thankful to be on here. I enjoyed every moment on here. Definitely would love to do this again too with you. Whenever you need me, let me know. Thank you. Thank you guys too for watching and tuning in. I'm glad we got to kick it up with some Tarantino talks.
Yo, gotta love it, man. And yeah, anytime you want to come back on, if you ever have, another film. I know I have done an episode on Perfect Blue, but I would always be down to maybe we did a commentary on it together, watched it live. That'd be cool, something like that.
We could do something like that. We could even do wrestling one day.
Oh yeah, because Billy's a big wrestling fan. So yo, always, you're more than welcome to come back on. Be sure to send me the link to your channel because I will put that in the description of this.
I will 100%. I appreciate you, man.
Dude, absolutely. So thank you all for joining. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Watch some Quentin Tarantino films, why don't you?
Go watch. I'm going to go watch Once Upon a Time tonight, so go watch some Tarantino for yourself.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Stay beautiful. Keep it too sweet. We'll catch you next time here only on Grande's Graveyard.